H.W. Bush is spending his very last night in Washington. This is a live picture from our nation's capital tonight. For more than 24 hours, it has been a non-stop stream of people paying their respects. Our John McKay is live there for us tonight with more on the fond memories of 41. John?
Well, Marie, even at this hour, people are queuing up behind me in the nation's capital to see the former president lying in state here. That's going to change, of course, in the next few hours. They've been coming from every state in the country and been coming for all kinds of reasons. They have come from every state.
There's such love in that family.
Every corner of the country. To say goodbye to a man few of them ever met.
President Bush.
Their reasons vary.
This president is one of the finest gentlemen we've ever had.
I'm an American, and you want to show your respect.
It's something that I may never have an opportunity to do again, to respect one of our former presidents.
Some will tell you they never even voted for George Bush.
I'm a Democrat. Okay, so, you know, he was a good president.
Oh, I think it's going to be...
Whatever the reason, they stand quietly in the cold, braving a strong breeze slicing between the buildings. Some bringing memories,
It's an important part of growing.
Others carrying fond mementos.
President Bush's time as a naval aviator and in his son's time flying fighters has created quite a bond with me and my family.
Inside, a quiet reverence permeates the rotunda. Whispers of respect echo off the walls for a man who, while in office, experienced the occasional public disconnect. Remember, critics talked of the wimp factor and complained of his not being good on the vision thing.
All you hear from anybody, whether it's a staffer or somebody that worked for him in the White House, is that they were treated with utmost dignity and respect.
But our rekindled public love affair with George Bush now comes as little surprise, really. Out of office, we tend to revere many of our past presidents and their decisions. And not just presidents. American veterans and their sacrifices also get special treatment from a grateful public. George Herbert Walker Bush was both. Even more, for some here to bid him farewell, he was at his best as a family man who every day led by example as a father and husband. Now, tomorrow here in Washington, of course, there'll be a public funeral. That will be held at the National Cathedral. And so his body will then be, of course, brought back to Houston. Now, we should tell you, if you have plans on going to Houston and trying to get a glimpse of the president when he returns, the public viewing in Houston, we're told, is going to begin Wednesday night at 6 in the evening, and then it will go through 6 in the morning on Thursday. And also, that's going to be at the St. Martin's Episcopal Church, where his wife Barbara's funeral was held. You may remember that back in April. That funeral service is going to be, we are told, at 10 in the morning, but that, we should say, is an invitation only. You know, we have heard all this week about the legacy of George Bush, about his politics, his calm demeanor, but there's one aspect that you haven't heard much about until tonight. Our Jason Whiteley is also here in Washington, D.C. tonight, and he was at a reception where a special guest showed up from the family. Jason?
Yeah, John, tonight we learned a lot more about President Bush's final hours there at his Houston home. Neil Bush, one of the president's sons, addressed that crowd tonight that we were at and said that all the children and all of the grandchildren got to speak to the late president on the telephone before he passed away late Friday evening. All of them except for Jeb Bush, the former Florida governor. Neil Bush said apparently Jeb went to sleep early on Friday night and turned his phones off. They were trying to call him, could not get through. And Jeb, according to Neil, did not find out about this until early the next morning when he turned on the television and saw the news. But John, tonight it was that event with Neil Bush that really helps us take a look back at part of the president's legacy that has nothing to do with politics. Across from the White House Tuesday night, a surprise visit by Neil Bush, the late president's son.
And many of you know me as being probably one of the biggest crybabies of the Bush family.
Addressing a reception of people who worked in his dad's White House and the Points of Light Foundation that President Bush launched to promote volunteerism.
Every president is known for their politics, and you may agree, you may not agree. But there's no politics in volunteering. Volunteering is straight out helping someone that's in need.
Plastic bags are a challenge, aren't they?
Food for Others feeds hungry families in Northern Virginia.
Tuesday's our big pack day, so
And it relies on volunteers like Mary Kent.
And I generally come one other day
to do 3/4 of all the work here.
My time spent here is well worth it.
Packing meals for elementary children when we met her.
They get low-cost meals or free meals during the week, but then they go home Saturday and Sunday and they come in Monday very, very hungry.
It is part of the president's legacy that has nothing to do with politics.
He's reminding us to hold up volunteerism as a value. He's reminding us to celebrate volunteers in such a way that we set it as an example for our children and for our grandchildren and for those that are to come.
I've been throwing things over there, watch out.
Mary Kent is just one of 64 million volunteers across the country, giving 2 days a week to help feed hungry children she has never met. She's carrying out the Bush legacy in a way likely to make the late president proud. And John, one more note from Neil Bush tonight. He told that crowd over near the White House tonight that the captain of the USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier, the captain put a pause on all flight operations out at sea tonight at 6:41 Eastern Time, 5:41 in Dallas, to hold a moment of silence with sailors who are serving on a ship that's bearing the late president's name. John, back to you.
All right, thanks a lot, Jason. Of course, tomorrow here, everything wraps up in terms of the President of the United States getting his funeral service and then returning back to Texas. Remember, there will be a service, but it's private. It's in Houston, and then the burial will be at College Station, Texas A&M, and that will be after that on a train ride. That's our news tonight from Washington. Marie, back to you. Jason.
John, thank you so much. One last look now at the crowd still filing into that rotunda. The Capitol will remain open overnight. And tomorrow, many federal and state offices will be closed. That means don't expect to get the mail. Governor Abbott declared it an official day of mourning here in Texas.
A MacBook